part, and with the different models are different. But if you look at the AI model is quite general. So what we're doing at PAIX also, we try to build a specialist rather than a general model. If you look at our model, although it's quite general, but if you look at our use case, we have specific use case in a specific demographic, right? So with that, we actually don't need a very, very large model, but we need a very efficient model, right? When we talk about AI, another part is also costing, right? You can use the whole entire AI if you want, but if it's not cost effective or it's not commercial viable, then we defeat the purpose because the clients are not able to afford to pay for it.
Hi everyone, I'm Audrey here and welcome to another episode of the MiniCEO podcast. Today we have KL here and we will let him briefly introduce yourself first. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm Kayel Lee. I'm the founders and CEO of PAIX, which is a AI fintech company in Malaysia. What we do at PAIX is that we use AI agents, or what we call digital employees, to automate accounts and finance operations, mainly in the bill processing and payment side.
Okay, great. So maybe talk more about your background. Like what have you done before venturing into your startup, which is PAIX?
Well, I've done a lot of things. I have an engineering background. I've been in the States for 14 years. And then I did a few ventures, starting with my e-commerce. And then I came back to Malaysia about 12 years back.
Right.
Then I ventured into the tech space, where I'm a sales and regional business developer for a software and mobile app companies.
Right.
Just recently, I started PAIX about 4 months ago,
Oh,
where we do a lot of this AI fintech automation.
right. How did you come about thinking of starting this startup PAIX? And before you even launch it, like 4 months ago, what happened in between then?
Yeah, actually, we started this project about almost 2 years ago, right? We did 6 months of R&D. How do I stumble upon this opportunity is that being an engineering background, I always have this mix of solving real life issue. So at one moment, there's a banker friend that approaches saying that they have some problem that they're facing with their clientele, right? And they say, hey, KL, you do a lot of softwares and applications. Do you think you can help us? So with that engineering mindset, so I start. Why not? Let's let me hammer at it and see whether I can solve that particular problem.
Right.
Right. So one lead to another things. We start working on a prototype, and then the banks are okay with it, and then we start to do a pilot with the customers. The customer love it, and then the customer has more requirements. So then we build out a solution out of it.
Right.
Yeah. And I believe AI and automation are also the two main keywords in trend that technology that we think that can really assist a lot of businesses, especially the large enterprises.
Okay. So I hear that you do it the other way around. You don't build the product first. You validate it with enterprises. You ask them if this is what they like.
Yeah, so I built enough solution before, right? Or a lot of startup they usually build a platform or a system,
Yep.
and then hopefully people would like their products, right? So I've gone through those journey before. So I believe that we should build a business case, right, where there is a requirements or the certain pain point that we're solving, that a client would pay for it.
Right.
Right. Then from there we start to build more features or module, right, to improve and make it more efficient and more useful to the clientele.
That is a great insight and to know that how you do your startup. So let us understand more what does PAIX do and what does it mean by digital employees.
Yeah.
Yep.
So actually, imagine you are a CFO or a finance manager in a large companies, right? So every month you have your team of accounts and finance people have to process a lot of bills, right? In our segment, in the large enterprises, they either have like thousands of bills.
Yep.
They have to process and manage, or they have to pay like millions of like dollars of bill every month, right? Which they have very complex processes, right? So what we do at PAIX is that we automate the entire end of the operations, from checking your emails or going to the biller portal, download the bills, input into the accounting system or ERP system, and then checking for irregularity or any mistakes, right? And seeking approval, schedule payment, and then when all said and done,
Very
then
tedious
very tedious,
process.
and then they have to reconcile everything, right? So
Exactly.
despite all this hard work, mistakes still happen.
Yep.
All right. So what we do is that we deploy our AI agents, or what we like to call them digital employees, to automate this entire process, right? To reduce the operational cost by up to 70%, and also increase the processing time. I mean, reduce the processing time up to 80%.
Right. So, does your digital employee consider a finance junior employee, or um, do they just do the editing Excel or sheets,
Yeah.
stuff like that?
So they play multiple roles, right? So the junior level that in a company, probably people that log into the account,
Yep.
download the bills, check the bills,
Yeah.
then input into accounting system, right? These are the junior part.
Yeah.
But then you need another mid level, probably the one that check the bills, right?
Exactly.
Make sure there's no error.
Yeah.
And then you need a higher level which need to approve the bill, all right, or schedule the payment or approve the payment.
Yes.
So that's the higher layer, right? So it come in multiple form. But the good thing about digital employee is that you can have the same AI during the different layers of employees.
Right.
Whereas a human, you have to have individual in a certain role to play that particular role.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can't have the approver and the doer or checker at the same
The
with
same
the same
person.
role. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So we can separate it in a different digital employees to
Yeah.
do the multiple role, which also occur and follow the current existing process.
Right. And do they really, does your digital employee also approve whatever has been done by them?
Yeah. So we done a set of rules or based on the past historical budget or certain rules or guide that the our client has in place in terms of the SOP.
Right.
Right? For those that is out of the norm or irregularity, we still need a human in the loop, right? A person to go through it. But then the process has been reduced like 80 to 90% already.
Exactly.
Right? So they only do the critical part.
Yep.
Yeah, the most important part.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember back in the days when I was with a telco company, I'm not gonna name it, is that I was a product manager there, and I was selling digital game credits, stuff like that. I was the one who reconciling the finance report,
Yeah.
and then to make sure that we pay the correct payment to the third party seller, who is our third party supplier,
Yep.
who they source the game credits to us. So every month, going through the same hassle. When you tell me about your solution, I remember the pain that I was going through it myself. And I'm not even a finance guy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not good with balance sheet or income statements, but I just have to work with the Excel
Exactly, right? Yeah.
myself, and to tally every game credits. There's so many games, there's 100 games.
Thousands and thousands or probably million lines of
Exactly.
transactions, right?
Exactly. And then when I submitted the wrong form, I mean the wrong amount to the supplier, and then they come back and say, "Oh, we didn't give that much." Then I have to deep dive into the file again, check one by one the transactions.
For the error, what are the missing parts?
Exactly. I think that's a great digital employee that you're offering to
Do
them.
recommend a telco to us. Maybe we can do some automation for them.
Maybe, yeah, they can be a pilot. I'm sure they are still doing it my way, which is the very manual way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. And yeah, so coming down to this, you are 4 months into your startup journey, and what are the main challenges when you work with your pilot or getting a partner to help you open doors, all that stuff? How's that journey is like?
Yeah, we're quite blessed in a way that we work with some major banks as our partners that offer our solutions together with their services to the clientele. That give us enough trust and validations, especially we're targeting the larger enterprises, right? And plus, we are just a 4-month-old startup,
Yep.
right? So bank partners is a very, very important partner for us at this moment. Um, Another challenge that we face is that because we're so new,
Yep.
also in the space of AI, new technology, there's always concern the safety of AI, right? Will it hack the system, right? They will make their own assumption in terms of new technologies, especially for the larger clientele as well, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the securities and so on. And plus, the sales cycle is quite long, but it's quite normal in the B2B space, right? Typically, especially in our particular segment. So, of course, I would like to be able to shorten our sales cycle and onboarding process to make it easy for them to onboard, and then started on the deployment of the AI technologies.
Right. So currently, do you do on-prem or on cloud? So based on what I hear, you mostly customize your solutions to each of the enterprises first.
Yeah. So we do both, right? Depending on the client requirement, whether they need an on-prem deployment or on cloud deployment. Of course, we ourselves we prefer on cloud because it's easier to manage, it's scalable,
Yeah.
right? It's more standard, right? And we believe the once people know more about AI are getting more comfortable, I think the cloud version will really flourish, just like any SaaS model that right now,
Yeah.
right? If you look at CRM and things like that,
Yeah.
basically most of them are on cloud already.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get there pretty soon. Just that at this juncture, when it's still new, large organizers still prefer to be on-prem,
Customize
yeah,
as well.
customized or depending on their IT setup as well.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting take that I hear from you as a startup founder, because for my case, I will build a product first, a platform first, or a software that caters to everyone.
Yeah.
And you just download and use it, and then I'll validate from there.
Yeah.
But for you, it's another way around where you customize your solutions and you do it on-prem for your enterprises. That makes them more willing to adopt your solution as well.
Yeah, so we believe in terms of selling a product, we are actually offering value and benefit to the client. Uh, Probably that also assists us to shorten our journey in finding a product market fit. That plus of us we are both in the accelerator program.
Yeah.
They always talk about product market fit, right?
Exactly.
So I think if we can become the painkiller to them rather than a vitamin, I think that should be the best.
Yeah.
Right. So if we can really solve a pain point, and then from that, as a builder, I'm sure that we can build anything we want, right? But what if we can build something that client telling us they want? I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. So rather than we build and then wait for people to come, why don't we get all the requirement, understand their pain points, and then build accordingly to their needs. Yeah.
Understand. And yeah, it's interesting that you say that the banks are your partners and they offer the solutions, as in they want you to be their partner as well to sell your solutions with the bank as your partner. And I think that will also benefit both ways, right?
Yeah.
And recently, I went to Alibaba Tech Day, and
And we are part
I
of
know
Alibaba
that
Tech Partners.
exactly. And you won the first place on their demo day, so
Thank you very
congratulations
much.
on that.
Yeah.
And how did you go with getting Alibaba as one of your partner?
Yeah. We've always been working with Alibaba in a previous organization that we mainly on the cloud side, right, and the software side. But then now Alibaba have the new AI engine plan, right? So we start toying with it to try to understand how we can improve our processes. Because other than the operation, there's still some intelligence and logic that we need the AI part of it, right? So we just apply to become a tech partner, and also happen there is a startup demo day We just joined the event and pitched. We were very, very blessed and lucky as well to win it. Yeah, it's very, very interesting and very, very.
I think Alibaba or the Chinese model is coming up with their AI models that is being so uh, advanced in their technology. We even try to fine tune with Alibaba Quan as well, and find some interesting take from their model.
Yes.
Not just the West model, which is the famous ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Claude.
Yeah.
There's also upcoming one is called Mistral, and I think these models are really competing with each other, and I think there's no harm for us startup founders to try the Chinese model as well. And since DeepSeek is like suddenly get so popular
The poster
all
boy
over,
of the whole world. Yeah.
exactly. And even my dad talks about DeepSeek right now. It's like, what do you know about AI?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it's very interesting that how exciting that we are using all these models to fine tune or train our provide our solutions to the market.
Hard and with the different models is different. But if you look at the AI model is quite general. So what we're doing at PAIX also we try to build a specialist rather than a general model. If you look at our model, order is quite general. But if you look at our use case, we have specific use case in a specific demographic, right? So with that, we actually don't need a very, very large model, but we need a very, very efficient model, right? When we talk about AI, another part is also costing, right? You can use the whole entire AI if you want, but if it's not cost effective or it's not commercial viable, then it defeat the purpose because the clients are not able to afford to pay for it, right? Or sustain it. All right. So we always take this into consideration of how we utilize AI. If we don't need the whole complex model, we deploy a very simple model that able to do that job and that job very well, right? Rather than you use the most power, right? So you're overusing it.
Yep.
So there's also a very, very deep thought process of how we deploy AI. And AI is just a part of our total solutions. We actually combine multiple technologies, right, to complete the end-to-end solutions,
Yeah.
right? Of course, we got automation software. Now you heard about the workflow software,
Yeah.
right? Of course, AI is the intelligent part.
Yeah.
So we combine multiple technologies to make it as a solution,
Yeah.
rather than I'm selling you a technology.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I think that there's a few models that even for example, take Quan as an example. There is 7B, 3B, or
Exactly.
1.5B,
Yeah.
and we tested three of them and sort of fine tuned them to do what we want. And surprisingly, the smallest, which what you mentioned, 1.5B works better compared to 7B, for example.
Yeah.
And it does exactly what we asked it to do.
Yeah.
Then that's what we achieve our results or outcome, that then we can provide the solution. And another point that you mentioned is also very true, is that AI is just one part of your solution, and it still requires a lot of programming surround it to actually gives the value to your client.
Yeah.
And that is really true. And I think a lot of non-tech people that I speak to as well, they think wipe coding can solve all your startup tech problems.
Yeah.
But actually, vibe coding is just one part of it. It can help you build prototype very, very fast,
Yeah.
but does not mean that it has the right architecture, the security,
Yeah.
everything at the back end that you cannot see. You just see a very beautiful front end.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of moving part at the back end, right?
Exactly.
Securities, architecture, the database structures, and all those things,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I think that still we need developers, real programmers come into place, is that they need to know how to build the scalable architecture.
Definitely.
And I think that's where the real tech startup founders like yourself will know that programming is still a very big part to play in this AI space.
Definitely, there's a lot of development needed. Of course, people think that they can just use Claude or
Yeah.
Lovable and then can build enterprise solutions, right?
There is
Yeah.
a lot of people who try, the tech guys who try to hack Lovable apps,
Yeah.
which is built by Lovable. Those apps, it just they are even charging customer paying for their app,
Yeah.
and people hack them, and it reveals those API keys and all that stuff. And it's just a shock that all these apps who are built by vibe coders or whatever, it
Well,
just
I
be
guess,
careful where
yeah,
you
exactly. Be
sign up.
careful, but it's part of the transition, right? Because now everybody can build their own products, but
Exactly.
only when you roll it out, then because people start to discover all these other underlying issues
Yeah.
or problems there are, right? Definitely is a good tools that can help a lot of builder like us, but also you must have the domain knowledge and a very important your CTO, your tech founders, right, to really vet through those information,
Yep.
right, to safeguard the security and data for your clientele.
Yep. I think with this trend going on, it's not exactly a bad thing, but I can see how this vibe coding trend that many people non-tech have access to building apps or tech or software, it will kind of split two types of people, as in the good software developer and the maybe the non-tech trying to do tech kind of people, where what's the difference between okay good and not so good. Why would I put them into two groups is because the good ones I will consider them able to fix the architecture, the back end, or the the security part. When there's a bug came out, he doesn't wipe code or wipe debug. He just really go in and debug it.
Yeah.
But the not so much one, I would say myself, I wouldn't know what happened in the back end, and I wouldn't know how to make my architecture scalable, something like that. I would consider myself at the not so good part, because I'm just a front end guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the trend will bring us into like this.
It definitely a good assistant. Of course, you say the not so good one. Before this, they can't build anything. Now they can build something, right? But the better one become even better,
Yeah.
right? They from good they can become great now,
Yes.
right? And the great can become like God now.
Yeah.
All right. So with the understanding and knowledge of the domain and the experience, they become better.
Yeah.
So definitely it's a booster for all level, right? Because imagine now if you are not a coder,
Yeah.
but at least now we can build something. At
Exactly.
least we can tell
Yeah.
the developer, hey, this is the front end I want.
Yes.
Right. But now figure out, make sure that the foundation, everything is there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But before this, you can't even do anything.
Yes.
Right. You can't even present it in that way. Right. And then you save a lot of times and a lot of effort in that things. So definitely it's a booster and a help for us,
Yeah.
even though for non-coder.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting take with the recent AI trends going, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, coming back to pigs, right? Is that so? Any challenges that you have, other challenges or asks that you have to scale your startup to the next level?
Yeah. So of course, like say the understanding of AI and automation right now is still quite at infancy, right? So especially on the large organizations, sometimes I might questions the security of the AI, the stability of the
Yep.
AI, right? So I believe there's need to be more exposure and sharing in this space so that they can understand more, so that then they can let their guard down a little bit, right, to accept AI more, right?
I think that's a challenge that all the startups like myself with Twin AI also face the same problem. Like the first thing they will ask us is, what is your data privacy, data security? What's your AI
Will they hack our
compliance?
system? Yeah.
And you know what I will say? I will just answer in a very politically correct way. We will get ISO 42001, that is the new ISO compliance for
For AI.
AI.
So are you going? Have you started the journey yet?
Not yet, but I'm very honest, not yet. And and I don't know how that would actually help with that. Like, okay, all this compliance, all this certification stuff that is saying, oh, let startups sell better to enterprises. We also don't even think that is, something. So maybe like a very strong architecture or strong security is something that is, yes, it can be certified, but the enterprise also cannot really, see it with their own eyes, something like that. They need to trust us.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from this, right? So when there's no baseline or there's no structure, I think the only thing that the clients or the enterprises can do is to go by those logos,
Exactly.
right? Which is the certification part of it. For us, we work with a strong partner like Alibaba Cloud, with their AI, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, all these big names, where there are a lot of like you say, those logo and certification ready already, right? To give comfort and peace of mind to our clientele, right? Another thing is also, as you know, that we work with the bank closely.
Yep.
So to get through the bank vetting process is quite strict, right? That also gives us a lot of credibility in that space as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how we build our branding around and our credibility for our clients to at least trust us in our deployment of our solutions.
I think that's very important for enterprise AI. So coming to an end, is that if you are talking here with me on this podcast and there's audience who are listening to us, what would be your ask for your startup PAIX? Whether it's market access or partnerships or funding, anything like that.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking for partners that can help us to grow the market, not just in Malaysia but also regional, right? So a good partner would be, let's say for example, ERP partners. I mean, we're working on the cloud partners already, or like business process operation (BPOs) companies that are servicing customers, but then using a lot of human resources. They're definitely someone that we can assist as well.
Right.
So these are two key areas that we're looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. And yeah, today we are at my startup event, and it's called NXT, run by the Cradle. So yeah, please feel free to check it out on LinkedIn once this event is ended. And thank you, KL, for joining me.
Thank you, Audrey. Thanks for having me.